the given analog transfer function into a digital transfer function. Okay, to convert this analog transfer function into digital transfer function, what I essentially mean is we have got an analog transfer function in S, that is you have got some h of s. This we have to convert into Z domain. Your digital filter will be in Z. Okay, so for this transformation to be effective, there are some conditions or desirable properties. Most importantly, the stability criterion in your S domain should match on to the stability criterion in your Z domain. What is the stability criterion? To identify the stability criterion in your S domain, we have to see what are the stability criterion in S domain. In S domain, whenever the roots are in the j omega axis, it is called as marginally stable. So it is desirable that similarly in Z domain, the stability is always concerned with the unit circle. Okay, so the essential quality is the j omega axis should exactly match or map to the unit circle in Z plane. That is the first condition. Okay, the j omega axis should map onto the unit circle in Z plane. Second, for in S domain, whenever poles lie in the left half of S plane, they are considered to be stable. Similarly, here also in Z domain, whenever the pole is less than 1, okay, so it will be considered as stable. So we can put it as left hand side of S plane should map on to inside of the unit circle. These conditions have to be mapped. Similarly, right hand side of S plane should map on to outside of the unit circle. These conditions have to be matched. Then only there will be a perfect transformation from S domain to Z domain. Okay, so to achieve this, there are lot of methods. Okay, we are going to see the first method to achieve this. Okay, the first method is impulse invariant transformation. Okay, this is the first method we are going to see to convert the given analog transfer function into a Z domain transfer function. That is, we want to convert S to Z. Whatever the transfer function we have got, yes, we have to convert into Z. Okay, I'll put it like this: Z is equal to, if you actually compare the actual transfer function, okay, so my 0 to infinity e power minus st f of t. Okay, so in your so the definition of Z transform, okay, so it is e power minus st f of t dt, whereas Z domain it will be h of t z power minus n. Okay, this is how you define. Okay, so I take the relation between Z and S as e power st. Okay, e power st. This is how, from this itself it is evident. Okay, so I'll take Z equal to e power st. Okay, we all know that in your h of z in Z domain, Z is nothing but a polar form. And S is a complex variable. We all know also that S is a complex variable. Its value is typically sigma plus j omega. Okay, so we'll express this Z in polar domain as, okay, r e power j omega. Okay, r e power j omega is equal to e power, okay, so yes, I am just putting it as sigma plus j omega into t. T is the sampling time. Okay, t is the sampling time. Fine. So we can expand this e power sigma t into e power j omega t. Okay. Now you see on the left hand side you have r e power j omega, and right hand side you have e power sigma t and e power j omega t. So if you compare these two, what we can get, r is equal to e power sigma t and e power j omega is equal to, so we can put it as omega is equal to omega into t. Okay, these two we are getting from, so r is a magnitude, this is the polar form. Okay, this is a magnitude and angle. So r is e power alpha t and this is your angle part, e power j omega t. So we can calculate omega is equal to omega t. This is the observation we have got. Okay, now here this r is nothing but, this is nothing but, you call it as a so for this part, this is the magnitude and this is the angle. Okay, for this part r. Okay, so what is the magnitude of this one? Magnitude is e power omega t, angle is 0 for this value alone. If you consider, okay, if you take I'll just take these two terms for your observation. Okay, so e power alpha t, magnitude of this one is same, it is going to be e power alpha t. Okay, and what happened to the angle? This is a magnitude, I'm just finding out the magnitude and angle. So either in this you don't have any angle term, so it is angle is 0. Similarly, if you take e power j omega t, magnitude is 1 because e power j, okay, e power j, the magnitude is 1, angle is omega t. Okay, that's why we have taken r is this one, omega angle is omega t. Fine. Now we'll check whether these three conditions satisfies. Okay, so first condition, first case 1, we'll put it as case 1. Case 1 we have to check. Okay, so we'll put any pole on your S plane. This is your S plane, this is your left hand side, this is your j omega axis, this is your sigma axis, this is your right hand side. I'm having a pole in the exactly in the j omega. If a pole is exactly in the j omega, what it means, your alpha is equal to 0. Whenever you have a pole exactly in the j omega, alpha is equal to 0. So what happens to your r? R is equal to e power 0 t. So it's nothing but e power 0 is going to be 1. Okay, so whenever alpha is equal to 0, r becomes 1. What it means by r? In your z plane, r is nothing but the radius of the unit circle. So if this is 1, so we can see any poles on your j omega axis are mapping into your unit circle. The poles on your j omega axis are mapping into your unit circle. So first condition is satisfied. First condition, what is the first condition? J omega axis should map onto the unit circle. This is the first condition. The first condition is satisfied. Okay, now we'll go to the second condition. Second condition, you take any pole in your left half of S plane. This is your thing, any pole in your left half of S plane. Suppose you have a pole here. Okay, any pole in your left half of S plane will have a alpha less than 0, definitely, right? Whenever you have a pole in the left half of S plane, alpha will be less than 0. So r is equal to e power alpha t. Definitely if alpha is less than 0, your r will be less than 1. Okay, so when your r is less than 1, your poles will be somewhere inside. Okay, so what you can understand from this, the left hand side of your S plane is mapped into the inside of the unit circle. Okay, So that is the condition for stability. So the condition of stability, second condition is also mapping. What is the second condition? Poles from left half of S plane is mapping to inside of the unit circle. Okay, so the second condition is also satisfied. Coming to the third condition, case 3. Case 3, whenever your poles lie in the right hand side of the S plane, whenever poles lie in the right hand side of the S plane, okay, what happens? Naturally your alpha is greater than 0. Whenever your alpha is greater than 0, r is equal to e power alpha t. Whenever alpha is greater than 0, r is going to be greater than 1. Okay, r is going to be greater than 1. For alpha greater than 0, r is greater than 1. What it means? So in your z domain, this is your unit circle, the poles are outside the unit circle. So right hand side of S plane maps onto the outside of the unit circle. Okay, so that's the third condition. So all the three conditions are satisfied. First condition, j omega axis maps onto the unit circle. Left hand side of S plane maps onto the inside of the unit circle, and right hand side poles map onto the outside of the unit circle. Since all these three conditions are matched, okay, this impulse invariant transformation is an effective transformation. So we can use this IIT technique to convert our given analog transfer function into a digital transfer function. Okay, we have seen that IIT technique is very effective. It is converting your analog transfer function into digital transfer function. But there are some problems in impulse invariant technique. We'll see what is the problem. Okay, consider two stable roots. I am just putting two stable roots. So the first stable root is minus sigma plus j omega. The second stable root is minus sigma plus j omega plus, I'll just put it as 2 pi by t. Okay, I'll consider these two poles in your j omega axis, something like these two poles, which is negative half of S plane, because minus, I have put minus. So here we have one pole and here we have one pole. Okay, S1 and S2, we have two poles. Okay, now if we use the transformation of our impulse invariant method, what is the method? Z equal to e power st. So z1 is equal to e power s1t. Okay, so we'll convert, we'll see what happens. Z is e power into s1 is minus sigma plus j omega into t. So it will become e power minus sigma t e power j omega t. Okay, this is the first pole. Okay, we'll take the second pole, z2 equal to e power s2 into t. So e power minus sigma plus j omega plus 2 pi by t whole into t. Okay, if we expand it, it becomes, when you take t inside, minus sigma t, again e power j omega t. Okay, if you extend it for this part, it is e power j 2 pi by t into t. 2 pi by t into t is 2 pi. Okay, if you see e power j 2 pi, what is e power j 2 pi? Cos 2 pi plus sin 2 pi. Sin 2 pi is 0, so this value is essentially 1. So this also you will get it as e power minus sigma t into e power j omega t. So what it means, see, for S1, S2, two different poles. Okay, two different poles which are shifted by 2 pi by t. Z1 and Z2 are same, which means that these two poles in your S domain, will map on to a single point. These two poles will map onto a single point in your Z domain, because for both these values Z1 and Z2 are same, equal. Okay, for two different poles in S1 S2, Z1 and Z2 are same. Okay, so this is a many to one mapping, many to one mapping. Okay, so what is the remedy for this? Why we get like this? Okay, so the remedy for this particular thing is, so whenever the S plane which has imaginary part which is greater than pi by t or less than minus pi by t, what happens? Two poles fits into a single plane in your Z plane. This is called as aliasing. Due to sampling you are getting this problem. Okay, so there will be aliasing. So aliasing will not happen if you are confined to pi by t. If your signal is confined to pi by t in the real axis, okay, if your signal is confined to pi by t, you will not get this problem. If it is greater than pi by t alone, you will get this aliasing problem where two poles will correspond to a single plane in your Z plane. Okay, so to avoid this condition, you have to confine only to pi by t. Okay, that is minus pi by t to plus pi by t. It should be within this region. Okay, so due to the presence of aliasing, IIT technique, that is impulse invariant technique, is appropriate to design only a low pass and a band pass filter. You can design a low pass and a band pass filter alone. You cannot design a high pass filter. Okay, so you cannot design an high, so it is, you can use, so that is the main drawback for your impulse invariant technique. You can use it to design only a low pass and band pass filter. You cannot design higher frequencies, because at higher frequencies, because it will give you aliasing effect. Okay, so this is a problem with